The National Green Party platform calls for slashing defense spending by 1/2 or more. In an area in which defense jobs are so critical, why should voters support a Green Party candidate?
Well, we could do a lot of slashing of the federal military budget by closing the bases in over 100 countries overseas. Many of the places where we have bases, they have stronger economies than the United States, partly because we're footing the bill for their defense costs. And I don't think that's good policy. You know, empires are fragile, and I think that it's not a good way to spend our money. This is admittedly a very touchy subject in our area, and we and this is interestingly part of our congressional candidate Jonathan Pelto's platform as well. We have enough subcontracts in place now to keep Southeast Connecticut in jobs until about 2020. But what's going to happen after that? I mean, at the end of the 1980s, EB's workforce went down more than half. And instead of diversifying, it seems as though we're on an endless cycle of begging for a new contract. Why don't we take these 4 years and figure out a way to diversify the economy? There is so much we use, like the train cars we are getting to upgrade our rail. We're buying it from overseas companies. Why can't we manufacture those things in a facility like EB? It started out General Dynamics making trolley cars, among other things. So now we have a really promising window of time to work on diversifying so that in 4 years, instead of putting all our eggs in one basket and just hoping the defense budget doesn't go down or get transferred somewhere else, figure out what else we can do with all of the expertise we have here that's manufacturing things that we really need to be used here.
Thank you. That was a specific Green Party question to our Green Party candidate, but I want to give the other candidates the opportunity if they want to comment on the issue of defense spending. It does take a big part of our budget, and arguably that makes competition for other funds that might be necessary. So I don't know, Mr. Soto, if you want to weigh in on the issue of defense spending and how it affects our area.
Yeah, I mean, this is a moral question that we ultimately have to answer, right? As a community, as a country, the fact that we do spend so much money on defense spending, and we know that these are complicated issues because those jobs directly affect the people that we know, right? And the businesses that we know. I think it's not too different from the casinos, right? When we talk about expanding to a third casino, and again, that's a moral question, and I don't have a specific answer right now because it is complicated. But I think the main point is that we do need to think creatively on how we diversify the businesses that we have in Eastern Connecticut, because when we saw with the recession that the majority of the jobs that we lost and we haven't gained back were all from the casinos. And so we know what that blow looks like, and if we're going to kind of arrive there in 2020 or whenever it is, all we have to do is look at the immediate past to see how that's going to impact our community if we don't diversify.
Mr. Lockwood, to weigh in?
Just basically on defense, it really is a federal issue for the most part, but defense does play a role here because it does employ so many people from New London, Waterford, East Lyme, Ledyard. And it is important. We do live in a very dangerous world nowadays. God forbid, we just had 3 attacks over the last couple of days here that may be terror-related, maybe not. But we live in a whole different world where defense is going to be very important going down the line. And that's going to have to be, for our senators and congressmen to make wise decisions. But as it impacts us in southeastern Connecticut, we need jobs here. There's no doubt about it. Thank goodness for EB hiring a bunch of people recently. The casinos do hire on quite a few people. That keeps this area vibrant. but it's still not enough jobs. About in our district, the 39th, about 43% of African Americans are unemployed, can't get quality, sustainable type jobs. There's areas here in New London that we can develop to add to that, not just in defense, but defense does play a powerful role here because those people that are working supports our restaurants and businesses here in town and hotels, and it's very important to keep that active and going within within a reasonable budget. But the federal government's got a lot to decide on that as time goes on, for sure.
Can I just add one more thing?
Sure.
One idea for EB, maybe not to get back to making trolley cars, but the Coast Guard has one functional icebreaker, and so there are other ways that we can award contracts. Again, obviously I'm biased because of the Coast Guard, but there is a big issue going on in the Arctic, and if we want to look at ways that we can expand EB's contracts, maybe it's through icebreakers that we so desperately need when Russia has I think 18 times as many icebreakers we have, and everyone's battling for the Arctic right now.
That's a great idea.
All right, let's do it.
All right, I think, yes, our next question is from Greg Smith, and it's to Mr. Lockwood.